Hey there, Mrs. Lohoff here. It is lesson 4.9, subtraction of mixed numbers. And yep, it's a mastery check day. Remember, you get one attempt at a mastery check. And if you don't like your grade, take those questions that you got wrong, work them again, send me a photo of your answers showing all the work you put into getting those answers, and I'll change the grade. It's that simple. Make sure if you do send me corrections, please in your email list what the mastery check number is. So if you're doing a mastery check for, say, 2.9, in the email it says this is 2.9, 4.9, you got the idea. Let's go over some practice problems here together before you take that mastery check. Here we have 6 and 10 elevenths minus 3 and 2 elevenths. When we subtract mixed numbers, we need to identify our whole numbers, which I will do in blue. And we need to identify our fraction parts, which I will do in purple. When we subtract mixed numbers, we begin by subtracting the fraction parts, just in case we need to rename that first fraction to get more fraction parts and create an improper fraction. If we need to do that, we'll have to do that first. So we start with the fraction part. 10 elevenths minus 2 elevenths. We always look at our denominator. We can only add and subtract fractions when that bottom number is the same. And it is! Yay! So our answer will also be in elevenths. 10 minus 2 is 8. 8 elevenths cannot be reduced, so this will stay as the fraction part of our answer. Now let's go and look at the whole number part of our answer. We have 6 minus 3. 6 minus 3 equals 3. Now we're ready to put these two parts back together for our final answer, because we need our answer also in the form of a mixed number when we have both parts, which we do. So our answer will be 3 and 8 elevenths. I put together these two parts right here from our subtraction. And this is the final answer. All right, it's easier when our denominators are the same, but that isn't always the case. So let's look at an example where we don't have the same denominators in our fraction part. So again, I'm going to come in and circle my whole numbers. And then I'm going to go in and circle and identify my fraction parts. When we are subtracting mixed numbers, we always begin with the subtraction of the fraction parts in case we need to rename. So here we have 5/6 minus 1/7. Get a red pen here. And if we look at our denominators, we have a denominator of 6 and a denominator of 7. Oh my gosh. Yeah, there it is again. 6, 7. I can't get away from it. It's like every problem has that. Well, those two numbers are not the same. So we have to find the least common multiple. The least common multiple for 6 and 7. Now, if you're struggling with finding the least common multiple, I do have a video in my YouTube list that talks about exactly that, how to find the least common multiple for two fractions. First, we have to identify our denominators, 6 and 7. Those should be easy for you to remember, and let me put them here in the worksheet. My video shows how to use this worksheet to find the least common multiple. I'm going to take all of the multiplication facts for 6. 6 times 1 is 6. 6 times 2, 12. 6 times 3, 18. 6 times 4, 24. 6 times 5, 30. 6 times 6, 36. And 6 times 7, 42. I'm going to stop there because I'm multiplying my two numbers by each other. And I know that that's definitely going to be a common factor. Let's see if we have a number that is in common before we get there. So we're going to do the same for 7, the facts of 7. 7 times 1 is 7. 7 times 2, 14. 7 times 3, 21. 7 times 4, 28. 7 times 5, 35. I was thinking of the 3 and 35. And 7 times 6, 42. Turns out that is the first number that's the same in both lists, in both rows. So 42 is our least common multiple. So I'm going to put that here so I don't forget. And then these fractions need to be changed so that both denominators are 42 and we can subtract. To go from 6 to 42, we multiplied 6 times 7. That means I need to do the same to the top. I need to multiply 5 times 7, which is 35. All right, the bottom fraction, to go from 7 to 42, I multiplied 7 times 6. So I need to multiply the top times 6. 1 times 6 is 6. Now I'm ready to subtract because my denominator is the same, and it will remain 42. I'm going to take 35, and I'm going to subtract 6. That will equal 29 over 42. And I'm looking at that, and there is no way I can reduce that fraction. So our fraction part is finished. And now we need to come back and we need to subtract the whole number part of our mixed numbers. Those are the blue circles. 8 minus 1. 8 minus 1 equals 7. All right, we have both parts. We need to put them back together as our final answer. So the answer for this problem, 8 and 5/6 minus 1 and 1/7 is 7 and 29 40 seconds. There's our final answer. All right, let's look at another example. One more before you do your mastery check. Here we go. 3 and 1/2 minus 10/13. So I circle my whole numbers in blue. 3 and, oh, wait a minute. There is no number in front of this. We don't have a whole. We only have a part. So that's going to be the same as 3 minus 0 if we don't have to rename. We have to still see if we're going to need to rename. So let's look at our fraction parts, and we'll come back to that. I'll put a question mark here because we're not sure if that's going to stand or if we need to rename. So we are going to start with subtracting the fractions. 1/2 minus 10/13. And whenever we are subtracting fractions, we have to look at that denominator to see, is the number on the bottom the same? Well, we have a 2 and we have a 13. Those are not the same. So we're going to have to find a common denominator between 2 and 13. Let me get my pen back here on purple and put that fraction line back. So we need to find our least common multiple. I can use my worksheet to do it. Remember, 2 and 13. Those are the numbers we're going to need to put into the worksheet. 2 and 13. 13s are going to be hard, but I know that 13 times 1 is going to be 13. And I know that if I count by twos, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, those are all even numbers. And 13 is not even, so it's not going to be on the 2 list. 13 times 2 is 26. So if we multiply the two numbers to each other, we're going to get the common factor. And if I go out 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, because multiplying is skip counting, 16, 18, and if I kept going all the way to times 13, because remember, sometimes you have to go off the worksheet to get that number, I will get 2 times 13 is 26. And there is my least common multiple, 26. And we got that by multiplying them to each other. All right, well, let's go ahead and change these fractions so that the denominator for both is 26, and then we can subtract. The top fraction, to go from 2 to 26, we multiplied 2 times this 13 here. So I have to do the same to the top. 1 times 13 is 13. All right, the bottom, 13, to go from 13 to 26, we had to multiply by 2. 13 times 2 is 26. We multiply the top times 2. 10 times 2 is 20. Now we have the same denominators, but yeah, we have a problem here. 13, take away 20. We can't do it. So we're going to have to rename that first fraction. Instead of 3 1/2, it's going to, let me rewrite it here. And I'll do this in red, if it lets me. Instead of 3 1/2, I'm going to make my fraction in 26. All right, so I'm going to make a whole group of 26, so that's like 1. And instead of 3, I had to take 1 away. So I have 2 plus, let me do this the other way. Let me do this a different way. Sorry, let me try this a different way. Okay, I'm going to take 1 away from 3, so I'll have 2 plus 1 plus 1/2, which we know is the same as 13/26. Okay, whenever I have 1, I can replace that with a fraction where the top number and the bottom number are the same, and I can pick any number I want. Well, I have 26 here, so I'm going to pick 26 as my numerator and denominator to represent 1. And then I'm going to add back the 13. That stays. So now we have 2 plus, our fraction will be in 26, and the numerator is 26 plus 13, which is 39. So I'm going to cross this off and replace it with a 2. And I'm going to replace this fraction with 39/26 because we went and we renamed. So we're not going to use this. We're going to use 39/26. Now we can subtract. We have 26 as our denominator, and we have 39 minus 20. All right, 39 minus 20 is 19 over 26. Now we can't reduce this. Now we have our fraction part done. We need to go back and we need to subtract our whole numbers. Remember, we had to change that to a 2, so this won't work. But we have 2 minus, and there was no number in front of the 10/13, so that will be 0. 2 minus 0 is 2, and we have our whole number part. We put the 2 together. So our final answer for this problem is 2 and 19/26. Here is the final answer. Let me get rid of all of the other stuff so that you can just see that final answer and the original problem. All right, so 3 1/2 minus 10/13 is 2 and 19/26. If you would like to work more problems, be sure to come to the 1 o'clock learning lab time where I'll be going over some more problems before you take the mastery check. That is absolutely a great idea. Remember, subtracting mixed numbers, you start with the fractions and you finish with the whole numbers. It's the opposite of addition. All right, good luck. I'll see you soon. Bye.